Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for Lesson 6 of Positive Youth. Today, let's move on to the next one. We're going to continue on relationship. This is our last lesson for relationship. And tomorrow we're going to move on to engagement, which will help us to focus better. But before we can reach that part, we have to focus on relationship. Positive emotion is very much affected by relationship because we are different kind of people. We react differently. We talk different talks and act different acts based on our relationship with different people. For example, you can be very friendly and very generous and very patient with your friends. And then somehow you can be mean to your siblings. So that's very possible. So we are like, we behave like different people in different relationships, depending on the quality of our relationship. The same goes to adults. Like my boys, sometimes they will tell me, "Mom, do you talk to your students like that?" Actually, I don't. So I work in public schools. I was always smiling, in positive mood, and throughout the workday. And then somehow there are times when I'm so stressed out or tired. I'm not that patient at home when I'm facing my own children. So understand your parents. Your parents are like that too. So we have to understand that, we sometimes, that's a sad part. Sometimes we actually show our worst to our most valuable people in our lives, who's our family. So I need to remind us that, as a matter of fact, our family members are the most important people. Our family relationships are the most valuable relationship for our well-being and for ourselves too. So hopefully we'll show more patience and love and to our own family. So we're going to continue. And this last session is a conflict resolution. Whenever there are people, there are conflicts. We have different perspectives on life. We have different priorities. And that leads to disagreements. And often they end up as conflicts. I want to point out one thing at the beginning of this lesson. Negative feelings such as fear or anger, they often goes along with unmet psychological needs. And a couple students asked about what does that mean? Competence, autonomy, and relatedness. Why these three are the most important and basic psychological needs. And that's discovered by self-determination theory. It's also found to relate to motivation the most. That's a slide I shared with you the past two classes. So I'll give you an example why negative feelings often is caused by unmet psychological needs. 4 years ago, I went to a city in China to give a seminar. And then I swore to myself that I would never go back again. Why? The city is beautiful. Why I had that negative feeling of anger that I would never go back again? Because one of my old friends who were there had visited me the year before. I treated her very well, took her around, and spend a whole week and be a good host. And then, but during my 4 days in that city, she only maybe spent half an hour with me and didn't even invite me to her house. And versus she stayed in my house for a whole week. And so I feel so ignored. I mean, at that time, I didn't recognize that. I just feel so angry. It's like, I would never go back to that city again, without knowing that it stemmed from my unmet needs for relatedness, needs to have a close, affectionate relationship with others, or needs to be respected and loved the way that I feel like so unfair I had respected and took good care of you. And then last year, when I lost my mother suddenly, she flew without any prior notice, and she heard about that, and she flew to Beijing and took me to my hometown and really helped me on that trip. And I do not feel that resentment towards that city anymore. I feel like I can go back and, now I realize my need to be respected and loved was fulfilled by her by her new treatment towards me. So that took care of my negative feelings. I don't have negative feelings anymore towards that city or her. So, and there must be a reason why she was so extremely busy and didn't have time to be with me at all during my 4 days there. So I totally understand. So that's an example for why negative feelings is often based on unmet psychological needs. It's the same with us in the family. When we do not feel respected or loved, or do not feel, for example, the autonomy. Often in teenager years, you want to do something based on your own choice. You want to be respected by your parents, and you want to be treated like adult. But when that was not met, for example, there are rules that we talked about rules last session, and I had asked you to write down all the rules in your household and think about why it's there. So even though those rules are mainly for our protection, sometimes if it doesn't fit my needs to be autonomy, my need of autonomy, which means I want to do things based on my own will, and then we will have a conflict. We'll have negative feelings of anger. So think about what need was not met. And sometimes your parents are angry. Many students mention that, oh, my parents shout at me. Believe me, that's also based on unmet needs. Their needs, for example, to be related to you was not met. Maybe your attitude towards them made them feel disrespected. So those are the root reasons for negative feelings, which are the side effect of conflicts. So, and your generation have even added challenge for social interaction because you have the internet, so social media. And this is research for a quarter of the teens actually say that they frequently experience drama on social media. In the school that I work for, lots of the fights were stemmed from social media. Yeah, so be aware of that and try to avoid that is the best way now. But today we're going to focus on family conflicts because we're going to spend so much time with our family during the shelter in place. So do you remember in elementary school when we have a conflict and got into a fight with a friend, principal will bring you to the office and each of you is asked to write down your side of the story, and then we'll sit down and compare what's your side of the story, what's your side, and then find the best solutions. So a family is similar to that. So we need to write down. When we put our words to describe our feelings, we are combining our emotional brain with the rational brain so that we can solve the problem more rationally. So writing things down is a great way. That's why in school, we always resolve the conflicts with asking everybody to write their side of the story down. And then we use words, verbally, calmly talk it out. And then we find out what's the best solution. So I'm going to use some of the questions that was raised in Q&A last session to demonstrate how to resolve family conflicts. For example, one student asked, if I disagree with my parents' rules, how can I communicate with them? Very good question. I always tell the parents in my parenting seminars that after children reach elementary school age, we need to discuss the rules and agree upon the rules in order for the children to really follow that. The children need to buy in that. So I hope that your parents know some basic rules of positive discipline, and I want to raise one strategy that your parents can use is to have a family meeting. Family meeting needs to be a fixed time, for example, Friday night or Saturday night. So once a week, we have a meeting together. If you have concerns throughout the week, I hope there's a whiteboard somewhere in the public area, such as the kitchen. So you can write down, for example, I disagree the way you treated me when I spend a little bit more time on Discord with my friends. So you can write it down. Once you write it down, you feel like, oh, it's on the agenda. It's under my control. that will release some of your anger or strong emotions. So, of course, during the family meetings, we always start with compliments. This week I really appreciate you make your bed right after you right after you get up, and also talk about, on the whiteboard, what was written there. We're going to talk about 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody have some concerns, and then we maybe plan ahead for next week activities for the family, and then at the end maybe everybody have a cookie. So make it a fun time. That's a great way to prevent any small problems developing into big ones. So if you disagree with your parents' rules, if you do not have a family meeting like this in your household yet, you can write it down. I still recommend you to write it down. Write it down in an email to your parents, or write it down with paper and pencil, and give your parents a note. This is what concerns me. I can guarantee you, as I shared with you earlier, your parents sign you up for this class because they want you to develop to your best. And with this kind of parents, you can guarantee that they will take your opinions very seriously. They want you to be independent. They want you to have your own thoughts. They want to help you to transition to adulthood smoothly. So write it down, write to them, and then suggest to them, maybe you should read the book Positive Discipline and see whether we can install something like family meetings in our family, because it looks like we're having more and more conflicts, and it's a good time to start a routine of family meeting once a week. We talk about this. Even if once a week is not enough, maybe you can have a small meeting at dinner time every day. That's fine too. Talk about what's going on today. Is there anything that we need to talk about as a family? So that's one thing. Write it down so that you don't forget, and plus writing down make you feel like you're in control. So that help you. That will help you too.